Welcome to part 3 of my conversation with Ronan Flynn on the telephone, which I recorded. And just bringing you back to the very start of these videos, I did tell Ronan that I was recording everything and any communications we would have with each other, and I told him the reason why. So there's no ambiguity that in any way Ronan was tricked, coerced or anything by the Brady family. But that is the story, this man here. It turns my stomach to look at him. This is the story this man has peddled to the Irish courts, judicial system, and the story that has been peddled through the Irish media. That in some way, ourselves, the Brady family, in some way coerced or intimidated Ronan Flynn and Ronan Flynn's family. Nothing could be further from the truth. So in the previous 2 videos we have created and dissected that conversation I have had with Ronan, we've highlighted clearly that it's not the Bradys that intimidated Ronan Flynn. Ronan Flynn was intimidated, coerced and put under severe pressure. We have no doubt about that. That is a certainty. And we have now proven that the certainty is it's not the Bradys who intimidated Ronan, but this man here, along with his fellow detectives, particularly Gill and McGovern, were foremost at intimidating Ronan Flynn to give false statements against Aaron. We've shown that Ronan Flynn, when he comes forward, when Ronan decides to come forward, apart from the pressure and the coercion that he faced himself, he will also be able to shed light on the lies that Daniel Cahill told. The star witness. Remember, Cahill was described as the star witness for the state. And Ronan Flynn, you've heard it yourselves, told us that Daniel Cahill attacked Aaron in Aaron's apartment in New York, which renders Daniel Cahill's testimony a complete farce, total lies and perjury committed here in the courts in Ireland. So we're just going to move on, listen to another little bit of the conversation, and then we'll go into, as always, with Aaron's campaign. And we continue to say this, as we continue to bring the truth to you, the Irish public, each paragraph, each chapter, each act, one follows the other and fits perfectly. And each truth we bring you substantiates Aaron's story that we've brought over the last 500-600 videos. So this Ronan is now going to introduce Matt Katzke, the American agent, into the story. And again, what Ronan's saying here and the conversation I have with Ronan about Matt Katzke will tell us that once again, the Bradys are telling the truth. So we'll just have a quick listen to the first little clip and follow it through, a little bit of narration on it, and then you will see yourself clearly that we are telling the truth and these are a pack of liars. Okay, let's have a little listen to the first clip.
Well, that's where we are with it, and like Aaron's, he's doing all right. He knows we're doing a lot of work. We're putting a lot of time and effort. If you get a chance, have a look at some of the videos, even just for your own peace of mind, Ronan, to show that it's impossible. Like the hid videos of young Eugene Red going into his own house at 8 o'clock and not coming out till after 10. It's fucking crazy what they've done and what they got away with.
I don't know how to get away with all that. My sister said, look, if you want, we'll try. I said, try and get Tony Brady's number for me. Try this. Yeah. This is bullshit. Yeah. There's no way that lad can do 40 years for nothing to be proven.
Nothing to be proven. Come here,
all and a load of lies.
So again, that little clip is just an interaction again between myself and Ronan, and I'm obviously inviting him to ask. Look at all campaign videos. I think when I spoke to Ronan that time, we had only 10 or 15 videos released. We're now up close to 600 or maybe over 600 if we take in the lives and the podcasts and along with the videos that we have created. So, same as we are saying to you now, I said to Ronan, look at the videos and the truth is there to be seen. And again, another example, we have told the Irish public, every verse and chapter that these people have put forward, we can contradict it. They try to suggest that young Eugene Flynn, Eugene Jr, was involved in the more than robbery at Lordship Credit Union. And as I have said there, we discovered that the CCTV footage of that young man driving into his house before 8 p.m. on the night of the more than robbery and not leaving it until after 10. And of course, when we move on to the Matt Katzke saga, you will see how that, again, each slice and each act, each part of the story that these people have put forward, we can contradict it and prove that everything we are saying is 100% correct. And you've heard the man that we are supposed to have threatened. You've heard what he said there. It's a fucking disgrace that this young man is doing 40 years in jail. And that is from that's from the mouth of the man who we are supposed to have intimidated. So let's continue with the lies and dissect the lies of these people here. And let's have a listen to the next clip here with Ronan.
Camille, did they ask you to mention Eugene and Jimmy in the statements as well? Because they seem to change tack.
Yeah. They're looking to have a hard on for Eugene and Jimmy here.
You see, but
your man Matt has a big hard on for Jimmy, the American fella.
Aye, well, he has a reason for that. Well, sure, it was released in the paper there last week. Matt Katzke, the tape, Jimmy taped him in Belfast Airport. Judge didn't allow that in either.
Yeah.
But that was released in the front.
It's a one side. They're all going on the one side here. There's not even. They're not even hearing yours. So you need to get a different judge. You need to take that.
Well, it'll be going. The appeal will be going before three judges. Had you much dealings with Katzke? Did Katzke put you under any pressure? Did he follow up on your?
Who?
Matt Katzke. That Matt Katzke fella. Is he involved?
No, not really. He didn't follow up then after that. After the guards done all the shit, he didn't follow up.
You had no fucking dealings with him after. He seems his name just pops up everywhere. But a lot of that information we are not allowed yet. But we will get it through our freedom of information.
Your man, that Matt fella, he's a fucking serious hard on for Jimmy boy. I don't know why.
Well, Jimmy made a cunt of him. He offered Eugene total clearance from his court case and a green card, and he told Jimmy, he says, give us Brady or anyone. He says, tell anyone to tell us a story and you'll never hear from us again.
So again, we move into a vitally important area and another aspect of the framing of our son, Aaron. And this is where the introduction of Matt Katzke, who was very involved with Ronan. I will say one thing here. Ronan would be not fully forthcoming with his interactions with Matt Katzke, shall we say. Notwithstanding that, he tells us here very clearly that Matt Katzke had a very, very, very strong interest in Eugene Flynn Jr. and in particular, Jimmy Flynn. So you can hear Ronan telling us here also, he can't understand as many of our friends, contacts, people we've worked with cannot understand the judicial system and how this was allowed. I've told them the recording was played in court, but only to the court. Judge Michael White refused to let the jury hear that tape. And we're going to run through a little bit of it now in a second. And if we take that with the coercion we know happened, Ronan, with the letter from Anthony Gerard Maguire telling the court and Mark Phillips that he was put under duress by Garda Síochána, when you see Molly Staunton being attacked, like there is a clear pattern of intimidation. There's a clear pattern of coercion. And it's not by the Bradys, it's by these scum here. And it is as simple as that. And Ronan says it clearly that Matt Katzke was very, very interested in James Flynn. Obviously, we discuss the tape and James's recording of Matt Katzke at Belfast Airport. And indeed, we might just have a quick look at I have it here. Right, so we're just going to look at this is the article by Owen Reynolds and the Sunday World. Killer Aaron Brady lodges appeal against conviction on 46 grounds. And obviously part of those grounds was going to be the tape in Belfast Airport. And this is just a little bit from the Sunday World article in relation to that. So last October, the controversy arose after Garda disclosed thousands of files to Brady ahead of his trial. Among the files, Brady's lawyers discovered a recording of a conversation between Special Agent Matt Katzke and Brady's best friend, who is also Suspect A. So that Suspect A is now James Flynn, who has been acquitted in the Lordship robbery. Agent Katzke works for Homeland Security at the time of the recording in July 2017. He was attached to the British Embassy. Gardaí was still building their case against Brady, with members of the NBCI regularly travelling to New York, hoping to speak to people who had information that might help to finger Brady or the gunman. They were travelling to America to do deals with criminals, drug dealers, paedophile lovers and illegal immigrants and mentally unstable persons. If anyone wants to contradict that, you're more than welcome to do so, Mr. Phillips, Graham, Staines. That's the scum, these scum we're dealing with. That's what they were travelling to New York to do. And that's the deals that was done with the scum. Katzke had travelled to Belfast to intercept James Flynn at George Best Airport. James Flynn covertly recorded the conversation and later sent a digital copy of the recording to Katzke, who in turn sent a recording to the senior detective, who was Pat Murray. Senior investigating officer in the Brady investigation, Pat Murray, now retired, but a detective inspector at the time, and you, Pat Murray, you laying bastard, told the court that you knew nothing about this interaction in Belfast Airport. And we've done videos recently on this, on the actual recording, where Katzke tells us that the boys down south will do deals with James Flynn and Eugene Flynn Jr. Pat Murray, like this man here, perjury, Murray, exactly the same. The recording was muffled and often difficult to understand, but the Brady senior's barrister, Mr. Michael O'Higgins, senior counsel, said there was evidence that Agent Katzke was offering to help James Flynn's brother in return for information about Brady. James Flynn's brother was living in the US and had fallen foul of immigration authorities. And this is vitally, vitally important. Suspect A's brother, Jimmy's brother, Eugene, was a suspect at the beginning of the trial. He was also attempted to be framed by these people, only for probably the work Aaron's campaign has done. They would have went ahead with the fiasco and tried to throw the framing net around all these young men. But Eugene Flynn Jr. is, to all intents and purposes, he's in limbo with his immigration status in America because of the foul play and the shenanigans by these people here. If there was one shred of evidence against Eugene Flynn Jr., they could have him home here in the morning. Just like that. So as we continue to bring you the Justice for Aaron Brady campaign, each and every piece of the jigsaw fits perfectly, compared to the lies these lying people are telling the Irish public and telling the courts here in Ireland. They could have Eugene Jr. home here in the morning, and they cannot, because as I told Ronan in the telephone conversations, there's CCTV footage of young Eugene going into his home before 8 o'clock and not coming out until after 10 p.m. Lies, 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 lies. Among the snippets of the conversation that could be heard was Katzke saying, "He's been removed, he's going home. I can find plenty wrong with his paperwork." Now this is in 2017. He's been removed, he's going home. I can find plenty wrong with his paperwork. Where is Eugene Jr. now? Today, in the United States of America. Does that make any sense to anyone? That in itself proves that this is a whole sack of shite. It's disgusting, it's pathetic, and it all comes back down to the desecration of the memory of a man who lost his life in Lordship Credit Union car park. And then the final bit, he could be heard saying, this is Matt Katzke, Agent Katzke, to James Flynn. "If he puts Aaron Brady away, you will probably never hear from us again. I can't do anything from him until he commits to doing something for us in this case." It doesn't get any more straightforward than that. This man here, Judge Michael White, did not allow the jury to hear that. Now, when the jury heard the controversy about Cahill, and Cahill's mentioned in this conversation also, and would have heard the tape, everything would have fallen into place for the jury, and I would have my son at home here with me now, where he belongs. So finally, the last part of it's worth reading here. Mr. Higgins argued that there was clear evidence of Homeland Security offering something in return for information on Brady. And they were offering this information to people who are nominated as suspects at that time. That's how dirty these people are. He also pointed to an internal Homeland Security email that was disclosed, which stated that another potential witness should be sent home if he didn't provide a statement to Garda about Brady. If he cooperates, keep him. If he does not cooperate, initiate deportation proceedings. It couldn't have got any dirtier, and that's in every department. That was from the DPP. A man called Ray Briscoe. Ray Briscoe in the DPP was working with a Mr. Silverband in the Homeland Security office in New York. And that's the discussion they had. If someone cooperates, keep them. If they don't, initiate deportation proceedings. Mr. O'Higgins wanted to introduce this to the jury to show that one of the key state witnesses in the trial, Daniel Cahill, may have been subjected to similar inducements and threats by Homeland Security. Obviously, as we have stated, when we put our story forward, the jigsaw pieces, those pieces fit perfectly. Anthony Maguire's duress, Molly Staunton's attack, Christopher Morton's illegal immigration status, Daniel Cahill, and it says it here in the Sunday World, written by Owen Reynolds and Alison Reardon. Cahill was living as an undocumented visa overstayer in New York at the time and gave a statement to Gardaí and Yonkers Police Department after being taken from his home by members of Homeland Security. So he's an illegal immigrant, and guess where Daniel Cahill still is today? In New York. And I think there's been a couple of recent cases where people who've travelled back to Ireland from New York, who'd been living a lifetime in New York with no trouble, and they had issues with Homeland Security and with immigration control in the United States of America. Yet Daniel Cahill still remains there, even after attacking people with a machete, and he's still attacking people, and he still remains in New York. Both Cahill and Special Agent Mary Ann Wade denied that there was any threats were made or inducements offered. Mr. O'Higgins said that the evidence of the inducements relating to other potential witnesses might undermine Cahill's credibility. Of course it undermined, it's there in black and white. But Judge Michael White refused to let this in. However, Mr. Justice White ruled that the jury should not hear the covert recording or be told of the alleged inducements of other witnesses. So they weren't even allowed to hear, the jury weren't even allowed to hear of allegations. So there's allegations of collusion, corruption and inducements. There's allegations and there's proof positive with an American agent being taped from the mouth of the American agent. It's there in black and white. It can be listened to. In his judgment, he said that the issue of whether Cahill was offered an inducement was a collateral one, and therefore evidence could not be called in relation. Like, please. In his judgment, he said that the issue of whether, so it didn't really matter whether Cahill got inducements or not. It didn't really matter that these inducements were live, that these inducements were the elephant in the room. That didn't really matter, but this man here, Judge Michael White, was not going to allow the jury to hear. So that's the conversation I had with Ronan. The reason we've covered this tape on numerous occasions, but we want to show that as we go through the evidence, and we can take evidence from any aspect of the case, whether it be witnesses, eyewitnesses, CCTV footage, circumstantial evidence, whatever, any paragraph of substantive evidence was put forward against Aaron, we can take it here and dissect it and prove it to be lies. That is why it is so important that we continue to show. And that is why, Ronan, it is so important for you and your family to come forward. Come forward, and your truth is being substantiated on all corners, from all angles. Your truth, Ronan, will be fortified by all the truth that follows you. So I think we're just going to listen to one more little clip.
Like, I'll send you the transcript, I'll send you the fucking tape, I don't care. It's been released now anyway because a reporter over here, a fella called Owen Reynolds, released it in the Sunday World on the 12th of February, if you look. I think 2 days before Valentine's. Yeah, I think it was the 12th of February. I'll send it to you anyway, and you can see what they're at. Right. Because they're going to put, well, I imagine it's possible on Garda Síochána will put pressure on you to say that I was intimidating you. I don't want to intimidate anyone. I just want people to tell the truth. I understand the pressure the authorities put you under, Ronan. I understand that. I've no.
I don't understand how they can just fuck everything up for all of us over here and just get away with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Crazy. Everyone's life.
And them supposed to be like the law, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The last line from Ronan there is ironic. I'm not sure the right adjective for it, but Ronan says, "Them supposed to be the law." Them supposed to be the law. He tells us that they fucked everything up for them over in America, destroyed his life, destroyed Ronan's life. But you can change that, Ronan. Now, this is before any of the nonsense of me being arrested. I went by consent and arrangement to the Garda barracks in Carrickmacross, and I was arrested in the 5-year standard procedure, and statements was taken to me in relation to intimidation of this man here, Ronan Flynn. And I have shown everyone quite clearly, definitely did not intimidate Ronan Flynn in any way, shape or form. I actually said it to Ronan. I preempted what these people, I'd seen what they'd done in the courtroom. I knew what they were capable of. And I said it to Ronan, these people, so I preempted what they were going to do. They're probably going to try and get you, Ronan, to say that the Bradys intimidated you in some way. So there's just, I keep saying it, it's there in black and white, and it's there for everybody to see. I told Ronan, I think, I'm not sure, but I'm sure he's seen the videos of the tapes and the transcript. The full tape and the full transcript we have released of Agent Katzke in illegally hijacking James Flynn in Belfast Airport. And again, only James Flynn had the forethought and the insight to tape that recording. I've said this before. Imagine if I was sitting in front of you here without the tape and trying to explain to the Irish public that an American agent who was based in the American embassy in London was in Belfast Airport trying to bribe a suspect in the murder of Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe who took place in the Republic of Ireland, to try and bribe him to give false evidence against Aaron Brady. Imagine if I tried to tell you that story, that actually happened. Not one person that's watching this video now would believe that could happen. Not one. But we must go to the foundation, to the base, to the crux, the cornerstone of this whole scenario. The moment Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe was brutally murdered, the moment he lost his life. And remember, Mark Phillips, along with Paul Gill, Jim McGovern, Pat Murray, the DPP in Ireland, all colluded to force people to tell lies. Now, the lie that they were getting these people to put forward, these criminals, drug dealers, illegal immigrants, paedophile lovers, and mentally unwell people. So the lie they wanted put forward was that Aaron Brady said, I shot the cop, I shot the guard, I'm the one who shot him. Okay, let's bring up this here. This is the cornerstone of the whole case. This is the moment, these are the seconds. What you're looking at now is the two men that approached the Garda car and shot Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe. You can see there's a gunman standing on his own with the apex of the door is 56 inches, and that's a minimum. And it's an 06D Avensis, and we can see the apex of the door, and the raider with the handgun, is 5'8" tall. We now move to the picture with the two raiders. The raider with the shotgun who shot and murdered Garda Adrian Donohoe is at least 6'2" tall. He is head and shoulders above the first raider with the handgun. No matter what physics or what mechanics anyone implies, Aaron Brady's frame cannot be forced into the silhouette of the man who shot and murdered Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe. Because, as you see here from this photograph, many people have seen, Aaron is only 5'7". The man who shot and murdered Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe is taller than me. And if I just bring that back up again, if we look at the picture of the two gunmen, if Aaron was the raider with the shotgun, the other raider, his head would be below the apex of the car door. The other raider would be a dwarf. So that's it there in a nutshell. Aaron's 5'7". So Mark Phillips, these people here, forced witnesses, people who are vulnerable in many, many ways, to say Aaron Brady said, I shot Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe, when that in itself is physically impossible. Excuse me. We have one more short video to do on my conversation with Ronan. We hope we've a lot of private messages and requests, or private messages and people asking the question, why isn't Ronan come forward? Where is Ronan now? We cannot force, obviously we can't force or approach or coerce Ronan into doing anything. We can only ask Ronan and his family to do the right thing. And Mark Phillips is going into court in June again, where they're appealing the leniency of Aaron's sentence for his tendency to pervert the course of justice. So again, Ronan will have the opportunity to contradict that day. But, there's a massive but here. If anything this man was saying was true in April 24 or April this year, if any of it was true, see the work we've done this last couple of weeks, that too would surely be incitement to intimidate, or tendency to intimidate. I went by arrangement previously to discuss the intimidation of Ronan Flynn, and I'll go by arrangement again. I've offered on numerous occasions. Now, we will be putting forward paperwork in respect of Ronan Flynn and the accusations by this man. We will be putting our own paperwork forward to the Garda Barracks in Dundalk very shortly. And but I'm free to speak to the Gardaí at any time. And remember, I'll leave you with this note. The day I was interviewed about the alleged intimidation of Ronan Flynn, excuse me, please, Detective Peter Woods accidentally or mistakenly showed me information that Ronan Flynn was caught in New York with drugs. And at that time when I was being questioned, Ronan Flynn was still living in New York. So our story continues to flow out the truth and flow out the disgusting behaviour of these people here. And remember, I've seen the pictures of Adrian Donohoe with half his face missing. And I know if he was my friend and my colleague, I would want the people who committed that brutal act to be behind bars. But today, the man who shot and murdered Detective Garda Adrian Donohoe still walks free. And that's what he has to live with as so-called friend and colleagues. So we'll see you again for part 4 of the conversation with Ronan. Thank you. Please like, comment and share. The last video, very heavily censored, suppressed, shadow banned, whatever it is they're doing with it. This scumbag here doesn't want the truth. If he wants to discuss what I'm saying, no problem, Mr. Phillips. Give me a call. They have my number. Please like, comment and share. We've been very heavily censored. And we'll, as I say, part 4 of my conversation with Ronan. Thank you.